Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison. I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. And today, it's the Friday show. So every single Friday I come on and update you guys on what's been going on in my life, what's going on with my reading, what I'm reading next week, and also videos that I'm thinking about making, things like that. So this week, it's been a fun week, to be honest. I've been reading a new release book. I have been reading Fury of the Gods by John Gwynne. I am 90% through. I actually had been hoping to finish this last night so that I could record the weekly update and then straight after it the review for this book for Monday. But I just didn't get around to it. I have been watching this week Superman and Lois. I don't know whether you guys are aware of it. It's a really, really good TV show about Superman, and this week's episode was really, really heartfelt and poignant. And it just, like, all week I've been, like, craving to engage with Superman-related stuff. So last night, in fact, I didn't read at all, really. I read, I listened to quite a bit of Fury of the Gods via audiobook yesterday because I had to drive into the city for work. Yeah, wasn't able to finish. I really thought that I would finish. I had 3.5 hours left, according to Kindle, yesterday morning. And I currently have about half an hour, 45 minutes left. But unfortunately, I record these in my lunch break on Fridays. So really, there's only so much time for this kind of stuff. Sad, but true. So yeah, I am enjoying this one. I'm enjoying it less than the previous two books, and I will talk more about that in my review, which you'll be able to watch on Monday. It's one of those things, right, where if this was not a book where I was already invested in the characters, I think that I'd get very little in the way of character investment from this. The action is very good, the writing is good, but I feel like there are a lot of choices made to give us less character moments and more moments of action, and I feel like the balance is just off in this book. Nothing is bad, but I feel like the balance of the scenes that we're seeing is not as good as the previous two books. That's the crux of my review. The last 10%, I would be shocked if it's going to change that point of view, that thought. So that's probably what the thrust of the review is going to be on Monday. But just wanted to say that this book is still very good, and the series in and of itself is very good. But I had very, very, very high expectations for this one that it hasn't really met. Next up, let's talk a little bit about the Superman thing that I read this week as well. So I read Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and Lionel Francis Yu. This book came out it came out a long time ago. Is there a copyright page here that'll tell me when? Yes. 2003 this was originally published. So I've actually owned this since it was released in hardcover. It's one of my favourite Superman stories ever. It is a modern retelling of the origin of Superman. So introduces us to a Clark Kent who works at the Daily Planet website rather than newspaper. It introduces us to a Clark Kent who goes travelling when he graduates high school and flies to Africa and kind of discovers himself out in the world. Really interesting, nuanced, new take on the character that I really like. And if you are looking for like a Superman story or something like that, then this one is completely free of any continuity. So you can read this and be like, that's it. There's no more stories after it. There are no stories before it. It is fully self-contained. So in the world of comic books, just like the world of fantasy, a fully self-contained major character story is gold dust. So if that's something you're looking for, you can get this super cheap online. Second-hand copies, etc., etc. You can't have mine. I love it too much. So what am I going to be reading next. Next up, I have chosen at complete random. I was thinking like, oh, when I finish Fury of the Gods, I'll probably just go straight into Wheel of Time to make sure that I get it finished before the end of the month. But I had a weird, like, for some reason, this book came into my brain. And actually, I know why. I was watching an Abby Salter video where she referenced it. She talked about how much she really enjoyed it. And I realised that I own a physical copy, and I have been feeling the urge to read a physical book because the last two books that I read were both ebooks, and I think that I'd quite like to read something physically for the first time in a little while. And so I was thinking, like, what can I read that's physical? And then Abby's video came out, and I was like, right, this is a not super long book. I mean, how long is this one? We're like 330 something pages, so quite short. V. Schwab is known to be quite an easy read in the same way that people like Sanderson are. So my thought is, if I get into this book, I can probably read it pretty quickly, and then in an ideal world, start the next Wheel of Time book next week as well. So that'll be Winter's Heart, I think, is the next one. Let me have a look. Yeah, Winter's Heart is next. So yeah, Winter's Heart, and then that is book 10, I believe. So then once I've actually read book 10, I'll be reading New Spring. I might read New Spring really soon afterwards in an attempt to get slightly more on track when it comes to my reading of Wheel of Time. So yeah, this month has been a bit chaotic in terms of my reading plans. My original reading plan was like, read Fury of the Gods, read, sorry, my alarm's going off. Read Fury of the Gods, read Winter's Heart, see if you can throw some other stuff in there. I was thinking about reading Kingdoms of Death because my friend Steve is reading that. Who is on the Andrew Watson Discord. He's reading Kingdoms of Death right now, and I saw him picking it up, and I was like, oh, maybe I should read that. But that's probably a little heavy, I guess. And what I'm thinking is Fury of the Gods to Winter's Heart is probably two pretty heavy books back to back. And, you know, Elantris before Fury of the Gods as well. So while I have enjoyed Elantris and Fury of the Gods, I was thinking I want to really change it up a bit, and seeing as this is a like supervillain story that is set in the modern day in our world, I think that this is going to be a really, really good palette cleanser for me. So no fictional worlds, no things to, you know, no magic systems to grasp, etc., etc. And it's really well liked. It won best science fiction and fantasy prize in something, whatever year it came out. Don't want to, probably not Goodreads Choice Awards, maybe Goodreads, I don't know. It won an award that year, so yeah, I'm interested in giving this bad boy a read. And I bought it on a whim ages ago, and if I read it and I don't like it, then I can unhaul it. So that will then create space on the shelves, which is something I'm always happy to do. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be reading next. And as I said, after that, it'll be Winter's Heart. I only got this one down because I'm very likely to finish Fury of the Gods in like an hour after I finish work, because I've only got half an hour left. So yeah, Fury of the Gods, then Vicious. It does also help that for Vicious, I do have I have the Kindle copy as well, so I can switch between both, which is really good for being able to do things like bedtime with the kids and that. It's good to have something to read on Kindle that doesn't that I can, you know, read with a backlight and not disturb everyone. So videos, you may have noticed, especially if you're a big Wandering In fan, that no video went up yesterday. My plan was to record that this morning and put it up, but everything has just kind of conspired against me, and I really only had time to make this video today. And because I only had time to make this video, I was like, well, I don't want to make the Friday show delayed because I know people really enjoy this. So I thought, let's delay Wandering In. And I think that what I'm probably going to do is now do 2 episodes next week of the Wandering In. So that's my current plan. I'm also going to be doing... So this is going to be a bad week if you are not into the Wandering In or comic book stuff, because next week I'm also going to be doing a discussion of DC's Absolute Comics. So all 3 of them are out now, and I don't want to like fill this channel with comic book content, like doing a superhero book and then talking about Superman Birthright, but I just kind of want to talk about those Absolute books. And also, like, fair warning, at some point in the future, there's definitely going to be a video about Superman and Lois and, like, how important that show has been to me, like, emotionally. Superman debuting as a character who is a father at almost the exact time that I became a father was... pretty serendipitous, I would say. So yeah, this copy of Vicious is covered in dust because I don't dust my shelves, and it's really making my eyes itch. So that's a great way to end the week. Anyway, so yeah, videos for next week. So that's my current thinking, is that next week we'll do the Fury of the Gods review. We'll do the Absolute DC Comics review, which is not going to be a review. It's more of a discussion on, like, these are the 3 comics from Absolute DC. I've read issue 1. What do I think of them? I also have planned to do 1 year of Marvel's New Ultimate Universe at some point in the near future. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy who's, like I'm saying, just constantly doing comic book stuff. But the idea that I had planned for doing another kind of smaller collaboration video with a few creators who'd read another of my favourite series, I decided to put that one on hold because I want to time it with the next release. And I also want to spend some more time to find some booktubers to reach out to and ask if they want to be a part of the video. Because I'd have like 2 or 3 people that I know and I'm friends with who've read that series, but like, do 3 people warrant a video? Probably not. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that one later. And also I've kind of been like, but what if I actually made this video kind of bigger and more involved and more interesting, and then maybe that ends up being something pretty cool. So I've had plans for a long time to do a video which I am hesitantly calling a deep dive, with the idea that the structure of the video would be very much like, here's why I like this series, these are the individual books and the things that are good about those books, like short non-spoiler reviews, and then like a character spotlight of like the, you know, major characters and discussing what's interesting about them, and then following that with a spoiler discussion, which is like, and in this book this happens and this is really cool, but then that would not be, so that would just be one video, and the idea is that that video is like quite long and quite involved, and there would be, you know, timestamps for you to skip in and out and to avoid spoiler discussions if you want to. And I have watched on YouTube a few like series deep dive videos. So there was one that I saw that was for Book of the New Sun, and I thought it was such a good idea. And I'm not just going to make this video where it's just literally me sat on this sofa talking to you guys for 3 hours. It will have, you know, I'll try and change things up and move to different places and film different places, things like that. But that's kind of where I'm thinking, where I'm going for some of my video stuff, is that I'm hoping to be able to do these sort of series deep dives and to do them like irregularly, but to, you know, do them every now and then. I'm also thinking about 2025 stuff now. So I'm thinking about changes I want to make to the channel. I'm thinking about the structure of the videos that I make, how many videos I make a week. I do still ideally want to make a video every weekday, but I am wondering if maybe I need to put a bit more structure in place, or maybe less structure. Less structure has really helped with my reading. However, I don't know if it will help with the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube likes structure and consistency when it thinks about recommending your videos. So unlikely, well, I say unlikely, I don't know how things are going to change yet. I'm really still thinking about it. I have also in the background started work on building a Discord server, which would be for the channel, for the community around the channel. This is one of those things where I don't want to launch a wasteland Discord server where nobody is really on it. I would like to launch a Discord server to facilitate discussion around books. I actually had also been planning on doing section by section spoiler videos for Fury of the Gods, but I was around a quarter of the way through when I was like, actually, I don't know if I want to pause reading this right now to do these. I think I would rather just finish the book and maybe do a spoiler discussion afterwards. I know my good friend Mare loves this series and would probably love to chat spoilers about it. And loads of people love this series and would love to chat spoilers about it. So, pardon me. So, yeah. I know Andrew's actually reading this one as well. So, maybe Andrew. I don't know. Maybe all of us. We can all talk about it. I've never actually had a spoiler discussion with like 6 people on it. So that could be fun. Yeah, so lots of things to think about, lots of future plans in the back of my head. I'm also, like I said, I've been thinking about Book of the Year content as well. So last year, I reserved a week of the year for me to basically take that week off of creating content. And so I pre-filmed all that content in the weeks leading up and then just released it over the week. And that week is probably going to be Christmas to New Year. So for that week, I don't know how many weekdays there are between Christmas and New Year. I think Christmas is it like a Wednesday this year? I don't know. I don't want to ask Google about it because I'll set everyone else's Google off. So whenever Christmas is this year, sometime around Christmas Day will be the beginning of the Book of the Year content. Book of the Year content is planned to be 5 videos, and it will be just going across the week. And I'll be doing things like my standard Book of the Year list. I'm going to do a superlatives list, which is like, best debut, most annoying character, things like that. So that's my plan there as well. And then I also am going to do a 2025 goals. I'm going to do a reacting to my 2024 goals, and how I've not fulfilled any of them. And then I'm going to also possibly do a video specifically about looking forward to 2025, what I think we should do as a community, what we're going to put together for the channel. So, long way round of saying to you guys that obviously I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not thinking about, pausing or slowing down or anything like that. I mean, maybe slowing down by like 1 video a week. I did think about going down to 4 earlier this year just before Alice was born. I was thinking to myself like, oh, actually, should maybe I have gone down to 4 videos once Alice was born. But because I was able to keep up with 5, I've only missed a video twice this year so far. So because I was able to keep up with 5, I was like, well, actually, why don't I just carry on doing 5? But some weeks it is more sustainable than it is other weeks. I should really just film it all in advance, because a lot of the time I'm able to do that. It's really only this video and my Monday reviews, because they tend to be reviews on books that I've just finished reading. Those videos are harder to film in advance, but the middle of the week stuff I probably could. So maybe that'll be something that I'll be a bit more efficient about next year. One final thing as well, also, I will be doing a Q4 wrap-up, a December wrap-up, and a 2024 wrap-up. So all 3 of those will be in the end of December and January. So if that's something that maybe possibly might be floating your boat, please look forward to that. That'll be me bringing up a lot of books. That'll be part of the Book of the Year content, obviously. So yeah, I do hope that you guys have enjoyed watching the channel this year. I hope that you're excited for next year, just like I am. One of the big things we're doing next year is we are graduating from Wheel of Time to Malazan. The current plan, I believe, is to read that with Matt from Basking the Story, if he still wants to do it. If at any point he's like, actually, I would like to read books without you, Sam, that I will understand that, and we could, I'll read it solo or with a ton of other people who are also reading Malazan next year. I'd really like to read the Dragonbone Chair series, and I don't know when I'm going to do that. The second book is arriving from Broken Binding tomorrow, so maybe I will read those when I get all of them. I did actually have an idea, plan, theory in terms of how I'm doing my reading. So this year I very much focused on first books in series because I knew that was more accessible to viewers. I also was trying not to have lots and lots of books by the same author or lots of books in the same series back to back. And I was trying to do fantasy, sci-fi. And I think that I'm going to bin all of that off next year. And I'm going to start trying to do things like reading an entire trilogy in a month. I'm going to start trying. So I've been saying I'm going to read the First Law trilogy, right, for like 2 years. Maybe I'll just read it all in like January, right? Although reading Lonesome Dove in January, so maybe not January. So yeah, reading all the First Law books, reading Christopher Buehlman's books in a month. I don't want to do every single month is like a themed month, but what I would really like to do is start finishing series. So I've started so much this year, but I've not finished very much. So Fury of the Gods and Return to Adan are like, oh, and Eyes of Empire as well are like the 3 finale or up to date in series books I've read this year. Whereas I've started tons of series. So I've started Powder Mage, Red Rising, Sun Eater, Wheel of Time, obviously, that kind of doesn't count because I will finish that next year, and tons of other things. And I feel like the Area X trilogy as well. And I feel like we have done a great job starting stuff, and now we need to do a great job finishing stuff. So next year, my current thought is that I want to do more finishing. And that if I'm going to start a series, I want to either like binge it or read it with like palette cleansers in between. So I was thinking about using Discworld as my palette cleanser next year. So my buddy Ross from Hardy's Books is a huge Discworld fan, and it's his like favourite fantasy series. And those books are quite short and quite easy reading. So I had this idea in my head. I was like, well, actually, maybe I will read Discworld. And also I bought all the Discworld books from Humble Bundle. So next year I'll be using as palette cleansers Discworld books. I'm also thinking about branching out a little bit from SFF. So there's a few authors that I am interested in reading in the crime and the horror genres. So I am hoping to maybe do some like collaborations with other booktubers where they recommend me a few crime or horror books, and then I go away and read them, and then we chat about them afterwards. So definitely want to be doing that as well next year. Yeah, I've got a lot of plans, is what I want to say. Also, one final thing on future planning. Let me know whether you guys would be interested in videos about the book series that I am planning to write. So I have been outlining my series for about a year. I am almost done, and I'm hoping to be done by the end of the year, which means that in 2025 I will start writing. Now, would you be interested in regular writing updates on the channel? So if we were like, Wednesdays are writing Wednesdays, and I will do like a writing vlog once a week on what I'm doing with my writing, problems I may be facing, successes I may be having, talking to other authors and getting their advice. I've been really wanting to do something like that to give me the push to work on my books. So if you'd be interested in that, please do let me know. Also, while you're letting me know about that, please also let me know what you've been reading, what you've been playing, what you've been watching. If you're also watching Superman and Lois, please chat to me about it. I'm genuinely in love with that show, and this week's episode was incredible. What else do we need to talk about here at the end of the episode? That's it. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. As I said, please do chat with me down in the comments below. I'm going to catch up on my comments. Not next week. I'm going to try next week. But if I can't do it next week, I will do it by the end of November, okay? I'm promising you guys we will be at a 0 comments unanswered by the end of November. Also, the community is growing, and I'm really happy with how many people are on board the team, and hoping that when we launch the Discord, it'll be a chance for me to get to know you guys a bit better, and for you to get to interact with me a bit more. I think that'll be really exciting. And yeah, so not planning on launching the Discord yet. Maybe I will launch it for Wind and Truth, but probably either going to be holding off until like January next year, or maybe for when we start Malazan. So it's all going to be based around what my life is looking like in terms of free time. I don't want to launch a Discord that nobody cares about. I would like to launch something that supports our community. So yeah, I don't know why I spent so long talking about this. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will speak to you on Monday.